Okay. Hello again. Nice to see your names here. If I don't see your faces, I see your names. Okay. Now, part 3, chapter 7 in Gulliver's Travels. So we are approaching to the end of the book and perhaps the most interesting parts of the book. As we are coming to the conclusion, we're going to find out what kind of creatures the Yahoos are and what kind of creatures the Honiums are and the differences between them. In chapter 7, the author's great love of his country, his master's observations upon the constitution and administration of England. So, same as in Brobdingnac, he tells the master about his own country's system, and the master, Honium master, asks him questions and he doesn't understand. And the master, Honium master, makes observations on human nature. So, the second paragraph of the chapter 7. Let me deal so candidly with the reader as to confess that there was yet a much stronger motive for the freedom I took in my representation of things. So he freely represents and freely comments of his own culture, about his own culture, to make it appear more beautiful than it is. I had not been a year in this country before I contracted such a love and veneration for the inhabitants that I entered on a firm resolution never to return to humankind, but to pass the rest of my life among these admirable Honiums in the contemplation and practice of every virtue, where I could have no example or incitement to vice. So, he admires the Honiums a lot because these creatures, these horses are so civilized, so clean, so logical, and so free in their soul, and they are so aesthetical. So Gulliver doesn't want to leave this place, and he doesn't want to return to humankind because he begins to hate his own species. On the next page, on the next page, there's a paragraph that begins with, he was the more confirmed in this opinion, and towards the middle part of this paragraph, he says, for if, said he, you throw among 5 Yahoos as much food as would be sufficient for 50, they will, instead of eating peaceably, fall together by the ears, and each single one impatient to have all to itself. And therefore, a servant, a question is coming, I think. Okay, maybe this is the internet system. There's a problem with the internet system. All right, there's been a problem in the internet system, so please try to keep online, and then I'm going to share this video again today. Until the evening it will be ready. I'm also recording it on my mobile phone. Honium Master tells him about the Yahoos, and he says that if you throw some food which is enough for 50 Yahoos, among the Yahoos, if you give them food which is enough for 50 of them, all of them fight with each other because always each of them wants it for all the food for himself or herself. They fall together by the ears, start fighting, each single one impatient to have it all to itself. and therefore a servant was usually employed to stand by while they were feeding abroad, and those kept at home were tied at a distance from each other. So, exactly like human beings, Yahoos cannot share. All right? If you give them food, each of them wants it for himself. They do not share it. Like human beings, if you give one human being money which is enough for 50 people, all of them wants it. Each of them wants it, wants the whole for himself. We don't know how to share, unfortunately. If a cow died of age or accident, before a Hunyum could secure it for his own Yahoos, those in the neighborhood would come in herds to seize it. Then would ensue such a battle as I had described, with terrible wounds made by their claws on both sides, although they seldom were able to kill one another, for want of such convenient instruments of death as we had invented. At other times, the like battles had been fought between the Yahoos of several neighborhoods without any visible cause. Those of one district watching all opportunities to surprise the next before they are prepared. But if they find their project had miscarried, they return home and for want of enemies engage in what I call a civil war among themselves. So the problem is, when Honyums have a cow, and if that cow dies, before even they start sharing the cow among their own Yahoos, neighborhood Yahoos come to seize it in herds. So when they cannot share it among themselves, they start a civil war among themselves. So they fight for their food. Yahoos cannot share the food, and they start a civil war to share it sufficiently. So these are the references to human history. All right, there have been so many civil wars and so many international wars in the world, and all of them have been caused by famines, starvations, share of the natural sources, and share of the bread. On the next page, he said, it was common when two Yahoos discovered such a stone in a field. So, imagine two Yahoos discover a valuable stone in a field. Imagine gold, petrol, when human beings discover some gold under the earth or petrol as a natural source, and were contending which of them should be the proprietor. So two Yahoos find a valuable stone in the field, and they start arguing which of them should be the owner. A third Yahoo comes, all right, would take the advantage and carry it away from them both, which my master would needs contend to have some kind of resemblance with our suits of law, wherein I thought it for credit not to undeceive him, since the decision he mentioned was much more equitable than many decrees among us, because the plaintiff and defendant were lost nothing beside the stone they contended for, whereas our courts of equity would never have dismissed the cause while either of them had anything left. So, two Yahoos find a valuable stone, a third one wants to have it and seizes it from them, and the fourth one comes, beats all of them, takes all the valuable stone, and then they can never agree on anything. So imagine, one country has petrol in the Middle East, two countries fight to take that petrol, and the third country comes from abroad, beats all of them, takes it all, and the fourth country comes, invades the whole place, and owns all the petrol. Same as the human beings. On the next page, I skipped the next two paragraphs. I did indeed observe that the Yahoos were the only animals in this country subject to any diseases, which, however, were much fewer than horses have among us, and contracted not by any ill treatment they meet with, but by the nastiness and greediness of that sordid brute. Neither has their language any more than a general appellation for those maladies, which is borrowed from the name of the beast called Yahu, or the Yahoos' evil. The cure is prescribed is a mixture of their own dung and urine forcibly put down Yahoos' throat. So, when one of the Yahoos get ill, all right, what is the medicine? The medicine is they force down his own urine and his own dung, all right, excrement, down his throat. All right. This I have since often known to have been taken with success. It's successful, incredibly. Do freely recommend it to my countrymen for the public good, as an admirable specific against all diseases produced by repletion. So, when they force it down the throat of one Yahoo, later on he swallows it. He throws up, all right, vomits. And when he vomits, he also vomits all the poison out and all the illness out, which is what they believe. As to learning, government, arts, manufactures, and the like, my master confessed he could find little or no resemblance between the Yahoos of that country and those in ours. All right. What is the government system among the Yahoos? What is the law? What is arts and education among Yahoos? Honyum Master says that he doesn't find it similar to Yahoos in Gulliver's country and Yahoos in his country. For he only meant to observe what parity there was in our natures. He had heard, indeed, some curious Honyums observed that in most herds there was a sort of ruling Yahoo, president. There's always a president. As among us, there's generally some leading or principal stag in a park, who was always more deformed in body and mischievous in disposition than any of the rest. So, the leading Yahoo, all right, the leading Yahoo is always more deformed, more ugly, all right, more disposed than any of the other Yahoos. So the ugliest Yahoo is the leader all the time. That this leader had usually a favorite as like himself, a favorite person like himself, standing next to him all the time, whose employment was to lick his master's feet and posteriors. So his job, all right, his duty is to lick his master's feet or posteriors, the bottom, all the time. It's his favorite. And drive the female Yahoos to his kennel all the time. So his job doesn't only include licking his master's feet, but also finding female Yahoos for him every night. For which he was not now and then rewarded with a piece of ass's flesh. This favorite is hated by the whole herd. Yeah, all the rest of the Yahoos hate this favorite Yahoo. It's usually the case. If there's a favorite person of the leader, the rest of the society hates that favorite. But no one says anything to the president. Himself keeps always near. So to protect himself, he keeps always near the person of his leader. But the very moment he is discarded, his successor at the head of all the Yahoos in that district, young and old, male and female, come in a body, and they discharge their excrements upon him from head to foot. So, he usually continues in the office till a worse is found. So the leader continues his post, his position, until a worse leader is found. The leader is changed only when there is a worse one. All right? What is the punishment to the leader? When the leader has lost his power, the very moment he is discarded, his successor, at the head of all the Yahoos in that district, young and old, male and female, come in a body, discharge their excrement upon him from head to foot. So they put their excrements. No need to explain what excrement is. We have used this word a lot in this book, excrement. Your toilet. The leader, when the leader loses his power and when there's a new leader collects all the society together and they put their excrement, all the society's excrement, from head to the bottom of the old leader. But how far this might be applicable to our courts and favorites, ministers of state, my master said, I could best determine. My master told me there were some qualities remarkable in the Yahoos, which he had not observed me to mention. There are favorable qualities in the Yahoos, actually, in the accounts I had given of humankind. He said, those animals, like other brutes, had their females in common. That's one of the favorable things in the master's opinion. They have their females in common. But in this they differed, that the she-Yahoo would admit the male while she was pregnant, and the he's would quarrel and fight with the females as fiercely as with each other, both which practices were such degrees of brutality that no other sensitive creature ever arrived at. So, when a female Yahoo gets pregnant, he selects the father after she gets pregnant. So the father may not be the biological father, because she looks at the male Yahoos and she decides which one might be the best father for her baby. All right? Not the person that makes her pregnant, but the person who seems to be the best father. She selects him after she gets pregnant. So this is a different application, different practice in the culture of the Yahoos. Okay, now I'm closing this session and I'm opening the second session in 5 minutes.